Welcome back to another episode of Life with Lamb. Today I'm here with Mia.
Hi.
Take two.
This is take two.
This is take two because we were recording and then I ran out of storage on my Mac and then
we weren't recording.
Yeah, we weren't recording. That's a short story. Anyway, how are you?
I'm good. That was a good practice for us.
It was a good practice run. We got half an hour deep.
Yeah, that's all right. That's only like a little conversation for us.
I know, exactly. We can talk for hours.
Yeah, another 5 in us, I reckon.
Exactly. Anyway, for those listening, who are you? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Mia. Do you want my full name?
Yeah,
Do you want to pronounce my full name for the listeners?
Mia Reba Ewan.
Yes, he did it right that time. The first time, Jaden did not know how to say my name.
I actually asked her how to pronounce your last name.
My surname, yeah. It's not even that hard to pronounce.
I thought it was Reba Ewan.
Most people say Reba Ewan.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes, I'm Mia. I am 24.
You have to think about that one.
No, I just didn't know if I should say it or not.
Oh.
What else should I say?
What do you do?
Sorry. I work at Aldi and I am studying my Masters of Primary Teaching. But we're only 2 weeks deep.
2 weeks deep. How are you finding it so far?
It's good. I love it.
Yeah, that's so good. You'd be such a good primary school teacher.
Oh, stop. Thank you. I know.
Anyway, how did we meet?
We met when I was your swim teacher. Well, coach, because you were already good enough not to need a teacher anymore. But yeah, so I was Jaden's swim coach. But I first met it when you were, did we say 12 or 13?
I think 13 because you said 13. You've been teaching for 6 years.
Yeah. So 6 years ago. So, Jaden was a little 13-year-old. And I knew of him, but I wasn't his coach for about 2 or 3 years, I don't think. And then I was.
Yeah.
So that's how we met. And then I employed him as a teacher.
You did employ him? Yeah,
Actually, I bullied him into becoming a teacher. I said, Jaden, you should be a swim teacher.
She did.
I did.
She coerced me and she was drowning me in the pool.
I was not.
I said you should be a swim
I'll lose
teacher.
my teaching license.
Yeah, actually. But now what are you doing? What's been happening recently?
So now I finished up with the swim school at the end of last year.
Very sad.
It was sad.
Very sad time.
Your girl cried a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Did you cry?
I shed a tear.
You cold-hearted bitch. You should have bawled your eyes out. I bawled my eyes out. It was a very emotional time. But yeah, now I just work at LD. Actually, I got a promotion. I forgot to tell you about that.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you.
That's
yes,
so
I'm going
exciting.
to be a manager at LD now. And then, I just started my teaching degree and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I think for the listeners, Mia and I are making a big deal out of the swim school, but I think it's been a huge part of our lives. So I just want to illustrate that and just make sure people are aware that, like, I've been at this swim school, and we won't name drop it until the head coach is on the podcast. Hopefully one day he will pop on.
Oh, yes.
That'll be a very good episode, but
not as good as this one, but almost as good. Yeah. Maybe I can come back for that one.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I've been swimming since I was 7. I stopped because of COVID, so I've been swimming for 2 years, but recently came back and have been doing swim teaching. And Mia, how long were you there for?
I started teaching there when I was 18, so it was 6 years. But like I was only working for the one swim school, and it was just really, really special place. Brought us together.
It did.
Yes. But it was just like a really special place, and I think it's definitely shaped who I am today. I think it's probably shaped a lot of Jaden as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
How'd you get into it, I guess? How'd you get into swim teaching?
I just needed a job when I started my undergrad degree, and I thought, I could probably be a swim teacher. And then, it just became a lot more than a little job that I did to make a bit of money. It was just like, it was my whole life. So, I loved it. It was good.
And it was your whole life. Do you want to, I guess, do a deep dive, no pun intended, into
a deep dive.
How committed you were.
Did you plan that one?
No, I actually didn't. I just
He's got it written on his Google Doc. He's got it written on his Google Doc.
I'm not.
Say to do a deep dive.
I'm with you. No,
yeah, lucky we're recording this for the second time because you didn't say that the first time. The jokes are getting better.
Enough, Mia. Enough.
Sorry.
You were very committed at the start.
Oh, yeah, I think I was committed till the end.
Yeah. Oh,
I hope I was.
True.
I guess when you know that you're leaving a job, like, you become a little bit detached from it. But, from literally day one, I was really committed to it. I lived far away from it and I was catching public transport. So I was doing, I think I said this before, maybe 4 hours of teaching a week, and I was traveling like 2 hours each way to get there. And I would do like a 1 hour coaching shift with Jaden. And I would literally have to travel 2 hours just to get to the 1 hour coaching shift. So yeah, it would be like 4 hours on the train for a 1 hour shift, which is obviously not necessarily attractive to most people, but it was just so rewarding and like so, I just wanted to be there all the time. So it was so worth it. It was not because of you, but anyway, sorry to offend.
Do you reflect back on it and do you regret anything?
No, I don't regret anything about teaching. I was just going to say I should have got my license when I was younger because then I could have driven there. No, I don't regret anything. No, I think, I think all the changes that came across, like, or came about for me were because of COVID, not because of anything else. So, yeah, no, I don't regret anything. It was the best 6 years of my life so far.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
I did ask what's been happening recently, and I guess the last time we caught up, you got your heart broken.
I did have my heart broken. First time ever.
Yeah.
I mean, we all need to have it at least once, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, actually, before we get into that, he's
just teasing it out.
No,
yeah.
I'm teasing it out. Getting you hyped, so you're like, oh, bit of tea.
Yeah. You know what's coming later in part 2. Yeah.
I want to quickly get into like what life skills and those sorts of things, life lessons that you learnt while swim teaching.
Oh yeah, like being a teacher. I mean, like I learnt what I value in other people, and I learnt what I wanted to, or who I wanted to be, and what things I wanted to have, I guess within myself and the way I operate in life. I learnt that things that I really, really value in my life are, having patience and empathy for other people. And I think, like we talked about having patience with kids, and I never thought I was a very patient person. Like I used to help my little sister with her maths homework, and my mum would say like, you're such an impatient person, like never be a teacher.
Thanks, Mum.
Not her fault, because she's not wrong. I was a little rat bag trying to help someone with their maths homework. Probably doesn't help she was related to me, but yeah, being a patient person I never thought I was patient until I became a swim teacher, and then I realised that I was a very patient person. I had loads and loads of it to help kids learn how to swim.
Yeah. I can definitely relate. I think the first time I hopped in the pool, I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Like, Mia, what have you got me into? Like,
no, he did well.
Oh, thank you. And I think it's something that you learn subconsciously, and it definitely just carries on with you over time. The more and more you get in that pool and you interact with the kids.
It wasn't something that I tried to have. Like it wasn't something that I consciously thought about all the time. Like I didn't get in the pool and go, now I have to be patient today. It was literally something that happens when you've got 3 kids in the pool, and they all 3 swim at different levels, and they're all in the same class, and they all have a different attitude towards swimming, or they might have had a bad day at school and they're really upset and they don't want to be at the pool or whatever, and you just have to deal with it. And I think that the easiest way to deal with it, and the thing that comes most naturally when you're kind of like faced with that, is just to be patient, because like sometimes things take time. You can't expect things to happen overnight, but being in the pool, you just have to be like, you know what, they're just not here today to swim, and that's okay, but I'm not going to get grumpy or angry or frustrated. I mean, I definitely felt frustrated a lot of the time, but it was internal. Like you don't display that, and what you do display so that they don't notice you're frustrated is patience. So
definitely. And I think that ties in really nicely with your empathy as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember having bad days as a kid, and I think what most teachers probably don't always kind of give them credit for is like, some of these kids are like 3 or 4 or 5, like they're so young, and they come into an environment where it's really overwhelming. Like pools are noisy, they're loud, they're fun, like you want to go and play, and you don't want to really be in a swimming class. I'd rather pick up the toys off the bottom too, but I think like having like a lot of empathy to deal with, okay, this kid comes in and they're not themselves, they've had a bad day at school, maybe like, I don't know, sometimes they've hit their head and they're grumpy. I don't know what goes on. But, just like the first step to, I guess, teaching them most effectively is to be like, okay, well, if I was in their shoes, how would I feel? And, I mean, even as adults, we all have bad days, and you just don't really want to do things sometimes. Come home from work and you just want to sit on your ass. But, so I think having empathy and learning how much I valued that in other people, and how much empathy I would like other people to treat me with, I was like, well, this is how I'm going to, I guess, operate. And that was always my first like point of call when I was teaching, or when I was like training Jaden, for example. And he didn't do his training course correctly and he waited a whole year to get it. You know, you just have a bit of empathy. Like, I remember I didn't want to do those stupid lesson plans either to get my license.
It's very true.
Yeah, and I was just, you just, I don't know, there's other ways of dealing with things that I think most of the time our first reaction is not to be empathetic of the people around us, but it's a good thing to
think about yourself.
Oh,
of course,
absolutely. Yeah.
I think especially in today's generation or whatever you want to call it, it's always like me, what's happening to me.
Yeah, and how does this make me feel, and not, oh, well, you know, this person might feel differently, or how does me thinking only about how my feelings affect their feelings, you know? Like,
exactly.
and that comes up with everything. It's not just work, but
And sometimes it's just it is hard to take a step back and reflect and put yourself in the other person's shoes and be like, well, how would they feel in that situation?
And I think like part of my job at the swim school was obviously training teachers, and I got to train Jaden, which was not as hard as you might think. It was really good.
Been there my whole life, mate. I know.
Yeah, but I think because I'd been through the exact same process, you know, I had to do the same course to get my swim teaching license, and I had to do the same 40 hours of training before I got my own classes, and I literally went through the exactly same process. Coming into training other people, I was like, well, I remember how overwhelming this was and how stressful and how I felt, and I just wanted someone to check in with me, which I luckily did have. But yeah, I was then that person for others, and that's what I just went back to. Okay, well, I remember being in their shoes. It wasn't that long ago, and how do I help them get through it as well? So,
that's in the swim school environment. How has that translated into like how you approach everyday and day-to-day activities?
I think just being really conscious of maybe, or trying to be. I'm definitely not doing it all the time because it's hard to. But yeah, I guess like trying to have the mindset of, you know, how does this person feel today, and what's going on in their life that might make them treat me differently, and maybe that's why they're not being super nice to me. Or, you know, like when you have friends that kind of fall off the face of the earth, you're like, okay, well, obviously that might not be about me, that could be about them, and something's going on for them or whatever. And I think just having that awareness of like, the world doesn't revolve around me. My world revolves around me, but the rest of the world doesn't. And just being conscious of that, like not taking things personally, and I guess just being aware of like other people have their own shit in their own lives too, and just trying to notice that, I guess, and have that as being the first thing you notice rather than, oh, but they haven't spoken to me, or
I love that. And it's super important that you do reach out sometimes and like are empathetic absolutely. Of those people, but sometimes like just even being aware of their situation, or just having the peace of mind that you can take that step back and assess and sort of be like, oh, what might be wrong. And it doesn't hurt to reach out. Sometimes people shelter in and do encapsulate themselves and close themselves off to everyone. So
and I think like knowing that, okay, they're probably doing that for a reason. What would that reason be? Like going, okay, well, if I was shutting myself off from everyone else, why would I be doing that? And then if you kind of trace yourself, how your reactions would be. I mean, everyone reacts differently, but I think like if I was doing that, there'd be something really wrong, and I would want someone to reach out to me and, you know, check in or whatever. Because I think when you start closing yourself off from the world around you, like you can't always then get back into it. You can't be the one reaching out. So
I did introduce it before, the breakup, but
the breakup, capital B.
Mate, I don't know about these fortnightly episodes. I get a bit rusty in terms of podcasting. Do you mind talking about it?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you want to give context? Maybe we can name the person first.
With a fake name.
With a fake name, boys and girls.
Would you like to give them a fake name?
Say Robbie.
Robbie, okay, yeah. Definitely not his name. I mean, it was my first ever relationship. So it was, I mean, like it wasn't a bad relationship, and it wasn't a bad breakup. It was just not the right time, I guess. Time, person, don't know.
Who knows?
I was the one that got dumped. So, I mean, I'm fine now.
You're fine now. How were you before?
I'm joking. I was just really, really sad. So I think, I don't know, like I hadn't really dated, or I'd never been in love, never had a relationship, and I sort of felt like I wasn't looking for one either. I was kind of like going into the phase of, oh, I'm about to go to uni. I'm working 60 hours a week. I don't really have time for anyone. But I was like genuinely so happy with my life. Like I was really happy with who I was as a person, and I felt happy within myself. And I guess when you do feel that way, that's when things come along. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. Like met Robbie. That was the name we said, wasn't it?
Yeah, that is
Robbie.
the name.
Yeah, who's Robbie, Jaden? Like, why did that name pop
I don't
to
know,
your
I don't
mind
know. I
straight
have no
away?
clue. I don't
Anyway,
think I know any Robbies.
yeah. So, I guess I met him when I was in a really, really good place. And I was really shocked by it. It happened really quickly.
I was too. Because I feel like you're such a like you're so sure of yourself, and you're very independent in that way, and mature enough to like self-sustain.
Yeah, like I loved being single.
Yeah.
Like I loved, and I still do love.
And
being
it's not
single.
even like a hot girl summer. Like,
no,
attitude
I
to
just
it. It's literally just like you're
I'm
too
just
busy.
happy with my own company.
Yeah.
And I can fill my time really well. So, in saying that, if there's any single boys listening to the podcast that would like to hit me up.
We'll leave your Instagram in the in the show notes.
You can DM me. No, I'm kidding. No, yeah,
She's not.
Yeah. What?
She's not.
Oh, I thought you
You're
said
not.
she's hot. I was like, that's a bit inappropriate. Do you tell all your guests that?
No.
I'm making him nervous.
Yeah. No. Oh god.
Yeah, well, I don't know what I was saying. That I was like, yeah, that you were shocked by it. I was shocked by it too. Mostly because I'm super duper picky, because I know exactly what I want. And I'm just like, because I wasn't desperately wanting a relationship because I was happy on my own. I wasn't going to settle for anything, and I wasn't just going to be like, oh, well, this guy's all right, and I want a relationship, so I'll just, be with him. Like, I genuinely waited for the right person, and he was the right person at the time. So, it came out of nowhere, and it went out of nowhere too.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
What was your initial reaction, I guess? Like, obviously you were upset.
Oh, yeah, so, it kind of happened... Like, it was from start to finish, like, not even 3 months long. But I definitely fell in love with him pretty quickly. And I'd never been in love before. So, yeah, and, it was just one of those things where his feelings changed. And I just had to live with that. Because, at the end of the day, I didn't feel like it had anything to do with me. And I kind of look back on it like he just wasn't ready, or... maybe not ready, but I just wasn't the right person for him. But it wasn't because I did anything wrong or because we had a bad relationship. Like, we had an amazing time together. It was literally just that sometimes those things just don't work out. Your feelings can change for someone. I don't know. So yeah, when it ended, I was like so devastated. But I wasn't angry, and I've never been angry since. I guess like everyone talks about like the 5 stages of grief or whatever. And I definitely was just like heartbroken, but that's all it was. Like, I didn't really get angry or there was no like ill feeling towards him. I got it. Like, I think I've had feelings for people that have changed overnight. Like, sometimes you just wake up one day and you're like, I don't feel the same way as I did. Doesn't necessarily mean in a relationship, just like even with friendships and stuff as well. So I got it, and I think that's why it was easier for it to end, because I understood totally where he was coming from, and I could, I guess, again, empathize with that. But yeah, I was obviously heartbroken and really, really sad.
Does that not scare you? Because that terrifies me, that like one day someone's just like, I don't like you anymore.
It does, but I'm also really conscious of like not letting it play on my mind too much, purely for the fact that I don't want it to mess me up. But yeah, absolutely. Like, I think like only because I was in it and I know how literally perfect it was. Not everything, I know nothing is perfect, but it was perfect for me, and it worked really, really well, and it was so easy from day one, like just straight away. Like, there has never been anything easier in my life than falling in love with Robbie. So yeah, I think like it definitely scares me that what can be so easy and seem so right can literally within seconds turn around and be wrong. But again, it's like, I don't know if I'd be cautious of that in the future, but I don't know if I can let myself be cautious of that, because you kind of guard your feelings, and if you guard them too much, then you might never have them again, Like, I think So yeah, I'm definitely scared, but I'm also going to try and not let it affect me.
Yeah, I love that.
Too much.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's
Yeah.
really important that in relationships you let yourself be vulnerable. I think if you, like you said, just put up that guard too much, it sort of just deters the other person.
I think there's probably like a really special and fine balance of making sure that you are open to things, but not necessarily going in so open that you get hurt every single time. Like, I think, but I'm a very, very cautious person. I think things through a lot. So I think that, like next time, hopefully there is a next time, I would be, possibly a little bit more guarded, but also I now know what it feels like to fall in love with someone and be in love with someone. I know what it feels like to have your heart broken. So I guess I'll know for next time. Whereas this time I was literally going in dead cold. I had no idea what it even felt like to have really strong feelings for a person that you're with. So, yeah.
Sorry if this is offensive, but
no.
You are... Oh, God, this is so bad. Like, you're 24, obviously.
Yes,
and, like, a lot of people would have had, like, a few girlfriends. Like, multiple relationships. I know I have. And, yeah. Anyway, breakups happen.
Yes.
They're not inevitable, but, like, of course, things break down.
Yeah. I mean, I never thought this was inevitable. Like, I genuinely believed... at the time that I was never ever going to have my heart broken because I'd met the person I was going to be with for the rest of my life. Obviously I was very wrong, but I think, wait, what was the question? Sorry. There's no question. Oh, about being 24.
Being 24. Yeah. I was going to say, like, does that affect you? Like, are you like, oh shit, I'm 24. I should be dating someone at this point? Because I know you and the head coach were chatting about this, and and you did talk to me about it. What are your feelings about it?
I mean, I definitely had, like, I guess certain maybe insecurities around not having dated anyone, but they were more about, like, oh, is the reason because no one's interested in me? And as soon as I went, actually no, because people, I guess, have been interested in me in the past, it's more about what I want, and am I interested in them, and did I want to date? And I think, like, when I kind of made that distinction, like, of, like, is it their feelings towards me or my feelings towards other people that are stopping this from happening? And I was like, no, it's me. Then that was okay, because it's like, and I mean, I think I'm like, I guess everyone's different, but most of my girlfriends who talk about dating and stuff, like, they just often they sound so insecure, or they sound so like, oh, like, they just get so stressed about it. And I just never was I guess concerned about it happening. I genuinely believe one day I'm going to meet someone and that's going to be right. So I guess it wasn't like a massive preoccupation in my mind. Like, I had other things that I cared about and wanted to devote my time to. But yeah, definitely being 24, like, I guess before this relationship, my biggest concern wasn't that I wasn't going to meet someone. It was that I was just never, like, I didn't have the ability to fall in love, or I didn't have the ability to meet someone that I could fall in love with. I just thought that, like, I don't know, like, maybe my standards were too high, or I just was too specific, or I wanted something that didn't exist. But yeah, I was wrong. Like, I was able to fall in love, and everything I wanted, that was exactly what he was. But I feel like when I'm saying this, I sound like I'm still in love with him. I'm not. Just to clarify.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not. I'm just saying, like, it was good, and
course,
I can look back on it and recognize that, like, yeah, I am able to fall in love, and I did. But yeah, like, I think that was my main concern. It wasn't that, like, oh, no one's ever going to like me. It was, am I ever going to like someone else?
Yeah, I guess.
And that was a scary thought to have.
Yeah, of course. Within your friendship group, did you ever get judged, or felt that you were being judged?
Being single?
For being single.
Oh,
Is
sorry.
That too difficult a question?
No. Yeah, definitely. I think, no, not judged. I think people always said the wrong things. Like, I remember one of my friends saying, like, oh, don't worry, it'll happen for you one day. And I turned around and said, why do you think I'm worried? Because I wasn't worried. I didn't care. I loved being single. People don't get that. I think it sounds like I'm lying. If you think I'm lying, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you don't, but the listeners. I think because, I mean, it's just a really unusual attitude to have. But, like, I just don't have time. Like, I just never had time. I never made time for it. And it wasn't my preoccupation, but when I was 20 and all my close girlfriends were having their first serious relationships or their second serious relationships, and I still hadn't even been on a single date, people definitely were like, aren't you worried? They just assumed I was worried.
And I think that highlights their insecurity more than
definitely
it does for
had
you.
a lot more to do with them than me. But yeah, it's like one of those things where I don't feel judged now. But yeah, definitely the friendships that I had back then, it was often don't even worry about it, it'll happen for you. And I used to get really irritated by the assumption that I cared or that I was worried about not being in a relationship, because at the time I was like, so are we still recording?
Mm-hmm.
I have PTSD from part 1.
Okay.
So, but I mean, one of the things I get like really irritated by is in adults, like my parents' friends or my uncles or aunties or whoever, not my uncles and aunties, but like, those sorts of people, sort of like have this assumption of, I guess, you're not in a relationship and that reflects on you. And I think like, as in like, you're undateable, which I don't think I am.
I think I heavily disagree with that.
Yeah.
But I think it's innate within humans.
People assume that you are constantly looking for a relationship, or you constantly want to have another person.
Yeah, I guess we're born to breed.
Yeah, of course. And I want that.
Feel insecure.
Yeah, I want that one day. But yeah, and I remember like we go on holidays to the same place every single year as a family, and all of my parents' friends at the holiday, every single year we'd rock up in January and we'd be 5 minutes out the car and someone would turn around and say, Mia, have you got a boyfriend yet? And I never got that because I did not want a boyfriend yet. And then, like, it's just one of those things that I guess, like, I always was also very strong on, it shouldn't matter who I'm with, it should matter who I am as a person myself, and you should be asking me, have you got a job yet? Or, what have you achieved as a person on your own? It's not about what have you achieved as a person with another person. It's about that too, but because I'm not with another person, I was always very defensive about not needing someone else, and it should all be about what I've achieved because, I've worked hard or whatever. But yeah, I just think constantly the conversation does get turned around to, are you dating, or have you got a boyfriend, or are you looking to date? Do you want a boyfriend? And it's like, well, sometimes it's just like the whole world is not about that. There's other things as well. So yeah, I think it's one of those really interesting conversations. I know we've had it before.
Yeah, no, no, I love that as well.
Yeah.
And you make a really good point about have you got a boyfriend yet? Or like, you have a girlfriend yet?
Yeah.
I know my family, or like whenever we go to family gatherings and stuff, like sometimes that gets thrown around. Yeah. But I guess like Asian heritage, like a lot of it is about academics and stuff.
Yes.
But I don't know, in terms of like your culture or...
I don't have a culture.
You don't
I'm
have
white.
a culture.
Very white.
You're always on white. I'll be respectable about it. I think... it does get centered a lot around academics and like what have you done, or like what have you achieved. So I've always had like the fear of what uni course am I going to do? Like am I enough? Like am I doing enough? Whereas like your conversations or even other people's conversations might be like, are you dating? Are you talking to anyone?
Are you going to get married? Are you going to have babies? Like
yeah.
I think there's pressures in every sense, like academic pressure from people around you of like having to prove that you've done something. I definitely turned around it before I turned 24. I was like, oh my gosh, I've literally achieved nothing for turning 24. And then I was like, actually, no, that's just like other people's expectations of what I would have achieved by the time I turned 24, maybe not my own. And I think I like those sorts of conversations that we have when we see people that we haven't had for a long time. It should be, are you happy? Or, do you like the person you are today? Not, what have you achieved? What have you done? Who are you with? Like I think, definitely too much pressure gets put on results of everything, I guess.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I think we've been raised in a way where the check-ins are, so what have you achieved? Like, what have you accomplished? Or like, are you seeing someone? But it's never like, are you like mentally at peace with yourself, or are you happy with yourself? And
are you proud of what you've achieved, not what have you achieved? I think,
exactly.
Yeah, and I think like one man's 10 million steps from where they started that's super duper amazing is like another person's, I got up this morning and did this and it was super easy and I don't think anything of it, but like that's not the same to someone else. Like I think you could get up in the morning and you go and lift 150 kilos or whatever. Is that how much it is?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah, and I like if I did that would be like a bloody miracle and I've achieved something massive, but that's something that you I guess, get up and do every day. And it's like, to two different people, they're massively different achievements and accomplishments. And yeah, you don't measure it on what someone else thinks, you measure it on what you think. So
yeah, and I think it links really nicely back to like what you were talking about, empathy.
Yes.
And just being able to ground yourself in what are your values,
Yeah.
what your values might not like coincide with another person's
and
values.
it's not even your values, like, yeah, it is your values, but it's also like, well, what do you think is impressive? Someone else might not think it's impressive, but don't tell them that you don't think it's impressive or whatever. You know, like, you just think like, oh, well, if they're proud of themselves for doing that, I'm going to be happy for them and proud of them too, even though to me that's like, ugh, are you joking? Like,
No, I love that so much. And I guess I want to go back to your career change from swim teaching, because you did mention that you reflected and you're like, oh shit, what have I done?
Yeah.
How was that epiphany for you, and what was your thought process going through that?
I mean, yeah, I guess in terms of like career, for me, like, I never ever knew what I wanted to do, and I actually had to write like an entrance thing to get into my master's degree, and the question was like, what kind of has shaped your decision to become a teacher? And it was that when I was a kid, people would say, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to do? What job do you want to have? And I could never ever answer the question. I think when I was 10, I'd say I wanted to be an actress, which no thank you. But it's like, what answer, like, and kids have big goals and big dreams, and they say things like, I want to go be an astronaut, and 9 times out of 10 they're not going to go be an astronaut. But I think like I could never answer that question. And like, looking back on it, and one of the things I wrote in this entry essay thing was that we shouldn't be asking kids what they want to do, we should be asking them who they want to be. And my answer to that then would have been very different to what it is now. But yeah, after being a swim teacher, and I guess having that experience of being the person that passes on knowledge and helps them to understand things, made me realize that the things I admire in other people and the things I would like to have for myself, they were all things that are qualities that teachers display every single day, like patience and empathy and kindness. And I guess that's kind of how I got to that point of like, well, it's not really about the job that I have, because I could do anything I want. And I genuinely believe that if I really, really wanted to do something, I could do it. Probably couldn't be an astronaut, but yeah, like I thought, okay, well, who do I want to be? And then, you know, you kind of go, okay, what makes me happy, and what am I passionate about? And I was passionate about teaching swimming for a really long time. But then I guess in lockdowns, when I couldn't teach swimming, I realized that I didn't miss teaching swimming, I just missed teaching. So yeah, I kind of came to that realization of, it doesn't matter what I'm teaching, it matters that I'm teaching. Yeah. Was that really profound?
No, it wasn't profound. That's
excuse me.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You're supposed to say yes.
Oh.
I'm just inspiring Jayden for his next degree to go be a teacher.
Yeah, exactly. I guess. Well, I've just started uni as well, and I'm loving all the marketing management subjects that I'm doing. Whereas, like, I guess if you listen to a few podcasts before, I was talking about like how much I didn't really know like where my why was, and I love how you've taken this time, to really just find yourself and find what makes you tick, and what you find joy in, and what you find like rewarding. I think, sorry to interrupt, but like, just because I've kind of been where you were, like my undergrad was in business law and criminology, so I did like the business degree, and you have to do all the finance and accounting, and it just wasn't me, and the whole degree wasn't me, because I could either go work in a corporate setting or I could go work in a prison, basically. And it was like, I loved learning it, and I have always loved learning, and I will always love learning, but it wasn't something that I was going to walk away with and go, I'm now going to go get a job in this and it's going to make me happy and I'm going to make a difference. I never ever thought that. And you kind of, I think knowing it, that at the end of it, you're going to have a HECS debt and a 4-year degree or double degree, and be proud of an achievement, but not walk away with anything other than that. Like, it was very much, I knew from pretty much my second year that I wasn't going to get a job in that area. And you sort of go, oh shit, what am I going to get a job in? Like, what am I going to do if this doesn't make me happy? How do I find what makes me happy without getting another HECS debt and wasting time, you know? Like, and I think that was again, coming back to turning 24 and being like, oh my God, I've achieved nothing. I mean, I'd achieved heaps, but it was very much like I still wasn't doing what I wanted to do, or I still wasn't who I wanted to be. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, sorry. No, you're okay. I think the oh shit moment, like, really reflects on like, and I know it's hard, and like I know education is extremely important.
Yes.
From like ages like, when do we start school? 6.
Yeah.
Or even in kinder, like
Yeah,
all the way up.
It's always important. Yeah.
All the way up to 18 years old, and then that's where you're like pressured into like ATAR and like choosing your like career pathway at 18 years old.
Well, you're just so young at 18.
You're so young.
How are you supposed to know at the age of 18 when you've literally seen none of the world, all you've done is school, what you want to do for the rest of your life? And I think like that idea of like our generation is going to have 5 or 6 different careers resonates with me, because it's so true. Like because we have the ability to chop and change and like follow what we love and what makes us happy, and what makes me happy today might not make me happy in 20 years time. And if that's the case, well then I'll change my job, or I'll change, but that like pressure at being when I was 17 or 18, like go pick a uni course. Oh, you don't know what you want to do? Pick business and arts, because they're so general that you can then find your way by the end of it. It's like, I didn't find my way. I just finished it and walked out with a piece of paper
and lots of money to repay.
A huge HEGS debt.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so much pressure on such young people. Like 18, like, I mean, I'm only 6 years beyond that, and I look back and I'm like, I was such a baby. Like, I was so young. How was I supposed to know what I wanted to do for the rest of my life?
And you still are like very young.
Young, yeah, absolutely.
And like, don't take the fact that you're 24 means that you're old.
Oh no, I mean, I feel old standing next to you. But
no, but I think there's just so much, like you said, pressure on like young kids, and we're at school 5 days a week.
Yeah,
like. What are we learning?
And how do you, I think also like you can enjoy subjects at school and enjoy certain things that you learn and be interested in them, but how do you know if that's something that's going to make you happy when you do it 9 to 5, 5 days a week? Like literally you go into a job for 40 hours a week, you're like, would that actually make me happy? If you can enjoy English class, but you don't want to do English for 40 hours a week. Like, and so I think that's another thing, like, you can have interests and passions and stuff like that, but you're not going to know until you try it. And that's something like there's so much pressure on, and I certainly felt it, like leaving school and going straight to uni, whereas someone like me would have benefited from time rather than just rushing into something and doing it because I felt like I had to. So again, one of those things that I think
it's such a like double-edged sword, because I get the education aspect. It's like, we want to get all our kids educated, but it's like, I don't know. If it prolonged for more, I definitely wouldn't have enjoyed it. Like if you were still at school at like 20 years old and or like beyond that as well, I don't think that's very productive. And it's just like why are we doing this? Because by the end of year 12, you're like, why are we doing this?
Oh, literally, yeah. You start to question everything.
Yeah, but then at the same time,
what's
it's like
the point?
It's so important to like educate people at a young age, but then it's like there's this gray area from 18 through to 30 years old where it's just like, well, what do I do now? Like I'm supposed to decide what I want to do in this 12-year span for the rest of my life.
I think also like I mean, school's the way it is for a reason, and the idea that you go to uni as soon as you finish school, it's like that for a reason, because if we don't keep having experiences of learning, our brains will stop growing. Like that's how it works. So I think like I totally get it, but I think there are other ways to learn. Like I learned so much being a swim teacher, so much. I learned everything. I felt like I learned so much about the world, but also about myself and about other people. And I think that like in that environment, I just had so many opportunities to grow, and I could have had those opportunities whether I finished high school or not, whether I finished my uni degree or not. Like those things still would have happened, and you don't need to go to uni to be a swim teacher. You only need a 2-day course. If anyone wants a job, let me know.
This is true.
You can work with Jaden. So I think that's the kind of thing, like there are other ways of learning and growing and allowing your brain to continue to grow. It doesn't necessarily have to be at school or uni.
It's such an interesting discussion, because it's like, I guess the conversation at school now is like, oh, we don't get taught life skills and like how to manage money and all that stuff. And it's like they try to teach it, but it's so like it's not taught well at all.
No. I mean, I wasn't taught it at all.
I think they introduced it for me in year 10, and it was called like, oh, I forgot. Oh my God, literally forgot what it's called. But it was some sort of like life skills class or something. Pathways. That's what it's called. Pathways. Yeah. And they were like teaching you life skills, and everyone like takes the piss out of it, because I think at that age you're like,
you're not ready for it.
You're not ready for it, and
it's also not relevant.
Exactly,
I
it's
think,
not relevant.
And I think the age of, like, say, moving out of home, for example, it's getting later and later in life, and, like, it's just not relevant unless it's in your immediate now. And I think also being 18 or what are you in year 10, 16, like, you don't give a shit about money. You're like, mum and dad give me money to buy my lunch and catch the bus and go to the cinemas. Like, you don't have that, I guess, sense of responsibility over your own life. And I think even at 18, 19 and 20, I didn't really have that. Like, I didn't have to think about those things. I was very lucky in that sense. But, like, yeah, it's something that I guess with time comes in. But I think that there's no discussion around, like, when, or I guess, when to start talking about that with kids or whatever. Yeah,
and it's like such a time stone. 18 years old, it's like, this is your make and break.
So yes, so much happens when you turn 18, or so much happens in that year of finishing school.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have to choose what you want to do. You get your license. You can start drinking. All those sorts of things. You have all this freedom.
But
so
again, like,
happens.
you have all this freedom, but you might not necessarily already be an independent person, and it's a really hard, I guess, like, place to be, where you're like, oh, but, like, I still want my mum to make me dinner, you know, or, like, I think you're still a kid. You really are still a kid when you're 18.
Exactly.
But you have a huge amount of adult responsibilities. And I wouldn't argue at all for changing that kind of age where you become an adult. I think it's where it is and it's correct. But it's like that understanding of, like, you're putting a lot of pressure on a pretty young person still to sort themselves out very, very quickly when everything kind of happens at once.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you have all this freedom and it's like unlimited potential, but it's like, where's the direction?
Yeah, absolutely.
From there? Because it's like high school, ATAR, done.
And it's so overwhelming as well. And I think it's so easy to become lost in, like, I'm trying to think back, like, even kids who got really, really high ATARs in my year level or friendship group or whatever, and then did 6 weeks of a uni degree and dropped out. And it's like, why? Because they're not supported. They have no direction. No one's holding their hand through it. No one's helping them. They're literally on their own. And someone who's so smart that they can get a 95 ATAR or whatever, but literally can't make it through 6 weeks of a uni course. And then there's the kids who really struggled through school, but they go to uni and they thrive because they're doing what they want to do, or they don't need the support, but they're really good at, self-management or whatever. So it's really interesting, like, that kind of, contradiction, I guess, as well.
Because it's like they're trying to set us up, but then it flips on itself sometimes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I think, like, just, I guess, again, timing, like, someone who's worked really, really hard and got a 95 ATAR might actually want a bit of a break. Like, going to uni straight away is probably not going to be the best thing for everyone. And like, recognizing that that's okay too. And
definitely. Yeah. What were you like in high school?
Wait, did we already talk about this?
Did we? I feel like we didn't.
Oh, no, that was on the failed recording. Sorry, my bad. I mean, I went to a really small high school. I feel bad for you having to listen to this twice.
Me? No, it's fine.
We're having the same. Oh, thank you. We're having the same conversation. I went to a really small high school. And I think I was, like, really lucky. I loved school. Like, I really, really loved school. Year 12 was my favorite year, ironically. And then
after all of that,
no, like,
year 12's a good
that's
year.
the thing. I mean, I think I can say all these things with hindsight and, like, looking at other people's lives around me and I guess my own life and stuff. But year 12 was my favorite year. I was no school captain, so I do still bow down to Jaden. But the
power dynamic.
I don't know. It's shifting. So what was I saying? Yeah, small high school, there was like 20-something people who, I think it was 29 people who graduated in my year level. So I was friends with everyone, or everyone really, really well. Like, it was the same kids from year 7 to year 12 in your year. And, like, you have all the same teachers every year. Like, it's all very much like you're part of a community. And it was amazing. But yeah, I don't know. High school was a good experience for me.
Yeah, I guess. What were you like, behaviour-wise? Like, were you the shy kid, the partier?
I wasn't shy.
Yeah.
I definitely wasn't. No, not far from. I wasn't, like, the one that's, like, kind of in the corner and doesn't say anything. No, I wasn't a partier either. I was, like, a really, really good kid. I worked hard. I found school easy. Like, I was lucky. I still worked hard, but it wasn't I was never challenged massively by it. Like, I got decent grades and I didn't have to really struggle through anything there. But in terms of, like, the group dynamic, I was saying, like I'm 4'11.5". I have to provide the context. And I think I was that height when I was in high school, actually. I don't think I've grown since then. But yeah, you like, I guess being a bit small, like smaller than everyone else. And, I mean, maybe when I was in year 7, I was a bit like, I had a bit of the personality of like being the little sister, or yeah, being a bit like cutesy or whatever. And it stuck with me. Definitely, I didn't outgrow it in high school, like, or not like me. Physically. Okay, come on. I felt like I grew out of it, but no one else, I guess people's perception of me didn't change. So like they still saw me as that and treated me as like the little sister, and everyone looked out for me and everyone protected me. And yeah, I was very much like, I guess I played into that a little bit because it worked for me at that time. But yeah, it wasn't really who I was. By the time I finished school, I was very much like keen to kind of move on from that perception of me and kind of make myself be who I wanted to be, I guess.
So yeah. Do you feel like high school like molded you?
Oh, absolutely.
Like
yeah.
Your personality?
I mean, I don't know. I think like I mean, definitely a bit. I think every experience we have kind of shapes who we are.
This is true.
But yeah, I think like, I don't know, I probably still have that a little bit in me where I'm like kind of play a bit like small and cute and play into it, because I don't know, like it's hard not to.
Yeah, look at me.
No, yeah, like I don't know, but yeah, it definitely, I guess, like, you know, you go through your friendship changes and your group dynamic changes and stuff, and it's definitely like shaped who I am today. It kind of also made me aware of the community I'd like to have around me, and you know, the sort of support systems I need to have in place to thrive as well, because I had a very strong support system when I was in high school, and I had a very close relationships with all my, you know, I guess mentors and teachers and everything. And yeah, like having that, I guess, that person who you can kind of go to who's older and wiser, like our head coach.
This is true.
The boss man.
The boss man.
Yeah, is like something that I guess constantly have had in my life, mostly because of high school and the kind of teachers that I had around me who were in that position. And then when I left, I sort of went out into the world and kind of needed that close-knit support system as well, and that's what I got at the swim school, and I was really lucky. Yeah, so I don't know, it definitely contributed to who I am today, and I would never discount that. But I definitely think I'm also a very different person today than I was when I was, you know, 17 or whatever.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Do you look back with like any particular feelings of your high school experience? Like,
I mean, I've been lucky. I've kept my really close friends. I still see them all the time. And like still really, really close to them. I think, I don't know. I think that, it's hard to say. I don't have any negative feelings towards my high school. I think like, yeah, I just think I was lucky to walk away unscarred, because I don't think most people do. Yeah. High school's a rough place for people. But yeah, yeah, not really. I guess it was just, I'm very lucky I went to a really cool school.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, post high school,
yeah,
you felt that you could be more yourself.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because I think, I mean, not at the start of high school, like I don't really remember year 7, but definitely like whoever I was then, kind of, it's hard to grow out of that person that everyone sees you as. By the time you get to year 12, like it's 6 years, like you're a very, very different person. I didn't feel like I could grow out of it. I felt like I was very much still that same person who I was when I started in other people's eyes, but I didn't feel like that within myself. I definitely felt ready to, like, I guess,
conquer the world.
Just spread my wings. What a cliche. Yeah. So no, I think that I was excited to leave and sort of be, I guess, more of a grown up. Yeah.
Did you know that you were going to do all this swim teaching and your teaching degree in high school?
No, it was totally unplanned. Yeah. When I was in high school, my dad's a hairdresser, so I was like a salon assistant. I washed people's hair. And yeah, I went into uni kind of being good at English and writing, and I thought maybe I'd like to be an author. I don't know why I thought. I mean, I still might write a book, who knows? But like, you know, very much like kind of, I guess, unrealistic expectation of what I was walking into, that, you know, I'd have time to figure it out once I started, and then I kind of blinked and I'd finished my degree and I hadn't figured it out. But in the meantime, I needed a job and got one, and it sort of became my whole life. So no, I didn't plan it. I didn't have any idea. I genuinely, like, I used to kind of jokingly say teaching would be my last resort. If I can't get a job anywhere else, I'll go and do teaching. And I kind of, I guess, not looked down on it, but definitely didn't see it as an option of like that would make me happy. And it does.
As students especially, like we grow up having teachers in our lives and everything,
absolutely.
and we sort of get desensitized to the fact that they're still providing like all this information and knowledge to us, whether it be like actually like your intercommunication skills, like talking to the teacher, or like your writing skills, reading, literacy, numeracy, like everything they're passing down gets desensitized because we're so young and we grow up with it.
And you also, it's like your whole life revolves around going to school, and it has to because that's the way it works. But you just sort of become like, I guess you don't really appreciate it at the time because you're like, well, I'm 7, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So,
and it's like, unless you have like a really inspirational teacher or some really like game changing moment where you were like, I want to be a teacher. I think that's another thing. I sort of turned around at 22, 23 and went, oh, what do I admire in other people, and what do they do with their lives, and what values do I want to have, and what do I admire in myself, and what do I want to keep, and like drawing the line between that and teaching was kind of a no-brainer in the end. But if you'd asked me when I was 18, or if you told me when I was 18 that I was going to be a teacher, I would have laughed in your face because I just never ever would have pictured it. Like, I just could not have. I think, again, like that's something, I think, like, pretty rare that you'd have someone who's 18 walk out of school, go straight into teaching, and then become a teacher at 22. I don't think it happens very much. Like, it doesn't, you don't have many 22-year-old teachers, and then if you do, they're pretty bloody close in age to the kids they're teaching. Like, it's a bit weird. But, it's definitely not something that, I guess it's more like as you get older, you might be more attracted to the idea of it, I guess. I don't know, Yeah, because you did do a lot of growing within that 6-year period, I guess. And you had that chance or opportunity to find who you were.
Yeah, definitely. I think being a swim teacher kind of made me realize who I was, and that I was good at things I didn't think I was good at, and maybe and that I could keep learning as well, because I've always said like, I just love learning so much, but I didn't really like going to uni, and that's, I guess, where you're supposed to be learning the most. But I found that I was going to uni, and then I was getting on the train and going to teach swimming, and I was learning more in 2.5 hours in the pool than I was in bloody 10 hours a week at uni, and staying up till midnight doing your assignments and stuff. Like, I just found that, like, oh, you can still learn. And I think I found, like, in the whole 6 years I was learning until the very last second. Like, I had my last day and I was still learning on that last day. And I think little kids can teach you a lot, and you can teach them a lot as well, obviously, but they can teach you a lot as well. And I found, like, I just loved that as well. Like, it was just it was so fun.
It's quite rewarding. I feel like I've learned a lot about myself as well, and grown up a lot because of.
Also, they're funny.
They're very funny. they do some very funny things. Talk to me about your uni experience.
My first uni
experience.
It was. I went to Monash. Monash sponsor me. Monash sponsor the podcast.
No, we want Uni Melbourne.
Melbourne sponsor the podcast. It was massive. Like, I literally was in a year level with 29 people, and I went into Foundations of Economics or whatever it was called, and there was 600 people enrolled in the class, and I was like, what the fuck?
Was it daunting?
Oh, it was so intimidating. Like, even the lecture theatre was intimidating. Like, 600 people is more people than went to my entire school from prep to year 12. Like, it was huge, and I didn't mind being anonymous. Like, I didn't mind that no one knew me and I didn't know anyone, but I did mind that I guess you just don't see the same face twice. Like, I did an entire degree over 4 years, 2 degrees over 4 years, and I was never in the same subject with the same people more than once or twice. Like, literally, you just don't see the same faces. And I'm not the kind of person that wants to make a new friend every semester. Like, I'm like, I'll make one decent friend, which I did, and then I'm happy. But, like, I just hated walking into a class and not knowing anyone sitting in the class, and having to do icebreakers in week 1 and meet all these new people. And to be honest, I knew I was never going to see them again. And I'm like, what's the point? Like, what is the point of that? Especially when I was so close to my cohort when I was in school, where like I knew everyone and they all knew me. So yeah, I didn't mind being anonymous at the uni, but I didn't really understand the point of it either. So yeah, it was.
That's such a like strange dynamic to go from like such a tight knit circle to like
absolutely.
just like knowing no one.
Oh,
And
literally, yeah. It was
and
so
some
crazy.
people thrive off that, like especially with like social media and like
Yeah,
followers and,
yeah.
and popularity. Like people love just like being
Yeah.
like, oh, I know you.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, how you going? Like in the
But
streets
you,
and stuff.
you don't always, like, I mean, you know them, but you don't know them.
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
like, yeah, it's something like these people sit next to me in class for 12 weeks. They don't know who I am as a person. They know nothing about my life. They don't know if I'm a decent human being or not. And that's okay for me, but I found it weird that I didn't know that about them, you know? Like, I didn't know if the person I was sitting next to was a good person or a bad person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's just like a very weird dynamic to walk into when you haven't had it before.
That's such an interesting point, because it's like as I've grown older, I appreciate the small circles and like the more
absolutely.
intimate connections that you have with people.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
like clubbing and partying and like going to uni in like lectures, like now that it's available, is just like,
It's a bit weird.
like I want to get to know a lot of people, and obviously it's like I run this podcast because I know people have stories to tell.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know. It's a weird
think-
concept.
I think it's like you can have connections with people, but they might not be long lasting connections, or they might be fleeting, or they can still fill your cup up, like they can still make you happy. And I think I've definitely found that, like, you know, working at LD, I see hundreds of different faces every single day, and I'm never going to know the people that I'm serving bloody bread to, but you can still have a meaningful or like fulfilling interaction with some random stranger. And I think, like, I look back at uni now and go, oh no, there were some funny times. Like, you still have a laugh, you can still enjoy the time or whatever, but you don't know the person on a really deep level. And I think that, or the people, sorry, on a really deep level, like, I think you can look at those interactions. They don't have to be negative, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing that you don't know them that well, but it's definitely something that, like, it's weird to kind of get your head around when up until that point, all of my interactions with people were meaningful and they were 6-year-long friendships or acquaintances built on all this time together and seeing each other every single day. And then you go to uni and you're never ever going to have that unless you're in a really specific course that no one else does except for maybe 3 people. And then you do have to see the same people every day. So yeah, it's just a different way, I guess, a different way of kind of looking at your interactions with other people. And like, there's nothing bad about it. It's kind of fun, you know, but it's not meaningful in the same way, I guess. And you have to wrap your head around that.
And in saying that, it's like a weird flip. Like, you have this facade in high school where you're with these people and you have to put on this facade to please the people around you. But then in uni, it's like you have a different facade, but it's like you feel ingenuine because of it, because you don't get to like
because you're not
deeply
making
connect
genuine connections with people. Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think I think I felt weird because I was like, I actually remember one day I used to go to like 2 different campuses for my course. So and I didn't know anyone at Caulfield campus, and then I would go to the Clayton campus, and like my best friends from high school also went there, and we'd have lunch on a Thursday. And I started class at 8 a.m. on a Thursday in Caulfield, and then I got to Clayton at like 3 p.m. for my last class. And I started speaking to my friend, and he was like, oh, are you sick? Because my voice was super croaky. And I was like, no, I've just been in class at Caulfield all day and I don't know a single person there. I haven't spoken since like 7 a.m. this morning when I left home. And it was like I'd gone from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. without speaking a word because I literally knew no one at the uni, and I didn't really feel the need to have a conversation with someone. And I'd got to like the other campus, and my best friend was there, and I wanted to talk to him, and it was like I couldn't even speak because I hadn't spoken all day. I thought it was funny, but it's like when you think about that, you're like, that's kind of messed up.
It is kind of messed
Yeah.
up. Personally, I feel like I'm the type of person who'll like introduce myself.
Oh, absolutely. You are. Yeah.
And like say hi.
Yeah.
Just because that's who I am, and like I'm interested in like other people.
Yes.
Like not in that way, but like obviously.
Well, you're just like,
friendships
of course,
and just curious in general. I think. So
I think. Oh, I was just gonna say, like, now doing my masters, like I'm very much more open to chatting to the people sitting next to me and getting to know them and stuff. And it's like I have a very different attitude towards it than I did back then. I was like, well, no one's talking to me, so why would I talk to them? You know?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I think that's
I just didn't care. I was like, whatever.
It's such a counterproductive mindset, and it's like kind of selfish in a way. You're like, well, if they're not going to talk to me, I'm not going to talk to them. And then it's just like this like negative magnet like effect. I think with COVID, in my last year, like first year, having to do everything online, it was just like every interaction or like breakout room that I had, every opportunity that I had to interact with someone, I would like just snatch it up.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not deprived of it, but it's like,
well, no, you were.
well, yeah, we are deprived of the connections, and that's why like I have some of like the closest friends that I have now because I was able to just break that barrier and break that like stigma of, oh, well, I'm not going to talk to them if they're not going to talk to me. It's like sometimes you have to like take initiative and break
and
through.
I think my attitude has definitely changed also because of COVID, because you just go so long without human connection, and then the connections that you do have change because of that. And I think like that kind of ties into, you know, having friendships change massively because of not having the in-person connection and realizing that when it's not there, there's really nothing there, and it's like, well, what's the point? And so my attitude towards, I guess, making connections with people, even if they are fleeting, is very much like, well, you may as well just do it, because you might have to stare at the same four walls for the next 6 months.
Exactly. Touch wood, we don't go into another lockdown.
I mean, we won't, but
it's funny you mentioned that
Pfizer
because
sponsor us. Yeah.
Pfizer sponsor us. Give me like 10 boosters, please.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because I think COVID really it really accentuated, I'll use that word, like the types of friendships that you have. I saw so many of my friends, and like not to name or shame or like anything, like that's just the type of people they are, but I'm the sort of person who will always reach out and always check up on people, and just sometimes I don't know whether it was because like the closeness or like just like the type of people they were from high school and from uni, is just like sometimes you just don't get that feedback or like people reaching out to you. Have you had that similar experience?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I was just going to say, in COVID, me and Jaden became good buddies because we're in each other's 5 kilometre radius.
We did. We had some really good chats.
Jaden was my only 5 kilometre radius buddy, actually. I think like reaching out to people, I sort of have the attitude of it's okay if they're not the kind of person that is going to constantly reach out, but they need to be doing it a bit, because like I've literally lost friendships because I realized that as soon as I stopped texting them every single day, they didn't text me for a month. And it's like, hang on a second, who's putting in all the work there? And it's like, that's not right. Like, it's draining for me to be the person that's constantly making the first contact or constantly reaching out to them, and then they talk about themselves and they don't ask me how I am, or they don't ask me anything about my life. And it's like, what's the point of that? That's not friendship. That's them draining you and taking advantage of you being the kind of person that does reach out. But I think like if that's who you are as a person, that's great, and I guess that's kind of who I am as a person. But I think you also have to find that line of where you cross it for you of, this isn't like beneficial to both of us anymore. I'm draining myself and my resources and energy and time to reach out to them and be kind to them and be friends with them, and I'm not getting anything back from it. And I think making that kind of distinction within friendships can be really, really hard. But certainly something that I managed to do a lot in COVID, actually.
Yeah, fair
was
enough.
realize like what that kind of, where that line was for me of like, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of here because I'm reaching out to them and asking them how they are, and I listen, you know?
Yeah, and it's totally fine to feel that way.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the distinguishment between here is like friendships aren't meant to be transactional.
No, absolutely not.
I think from what you're saying, like you're not expecting things, but it's like if you're going out of your way, at least have the courtesy to like
well, it's not even that. It's like I'm going out of my way because I want to, because they're my friend, but how does that interaction make me feel? Or how do I come away from that interaction? Do I feel happier and full and like energetic, or do I actually feel drained? And if you're feeling drained from those interactions every single time you have them, then there's something wrong. It's like I can catch up with people who are like my bestest friends and I feel drained afterwards because maybe we've had a full-on conversation or there's a lot going on in our lives and we've just kind of vented or talked about it. But you shouldn't be feeling like that every single time you see them. You should have positive interactions with them as well. And I think like I don't expect my friends to message me the same amount of times as I message them. That's totally stupid.
Exactly, and that's the transaction.
But it's exactly. But it's the like, oh, if I'm not making contact, do they make contact with me? If they don't, and I make contact with them and I don't feel good about it, then there's something wrong. Or if they do make contact with me, great, but how do I feel about that contact? Is it a positive or a negative experience? And it doesn't have to be one time. Like, I'm not going to write people off and cut them out of my life because I have one bad interaction. It's literally like consistently having bad experiences with the same person kind of makes you turn around and think like, oh, what am I actually getting out of this? And does this add value to my life? You know, like someone who can be your best friend when you're 20 is not necessarily going to be your best friend when you're 25 or 30, you know, like you grow and change as people and there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a good thing. But do the friendships grow and change with you? I don't know, not always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recently I found like Snapchat to be one of the most draining and like pointless.
I send you lots of Snapchats.
I know, but like that's no, because the implementation of streaks.
Oh yeah.
Like, and that number. Like,
I lost all my streaks.
Yeah. Look,
Yeah.
I don't know why I bother at this point. I think I'm gonna like either delete it or just like just use it for the sake of using it.
Yeah.
I just find myself sending photos of my face to people, and it's just like, what am I getting out of this? Is this like a genuine interaction? No, because it's just not. Like we're just sending photos 15 hours apart.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like with the streaks, it's like, why were they brought in? What is the point? Would you be speaking to that person every single day if you didn't have a streak? And you're not even speaking to them when you have a streak. You're just sending them one picture.
Exactly. I remember I had a whole like streaks list where you put like an emoji or like a hyphen in front of people and you send S all the way down, and then I just look back at that like point in my life where I still did it, and I was like, what am I doing?
But well, that's exactly it. It's like, what is the point of doing that? If you're going to have an interaction with someone, why not make it a meaningful one, you know? And even if it's when I say meaningful, it can be that you send me a video of your dog because you know I'm going to enjoy the video of your dog.
Exactly.
And you're going to enjoy sending it. Like, that's the thing. It's like, it doesn't have to be like, you know, this whole emotional full-on conversation. It can be something really, me and Jayden just touched under the table.
I think it's happened
so romantic. I'm moving my feet. That was scary. I can't even remember what I was saying. Sorry, that was so distracting. I hate feet.
Yeah, and I think this is where like the business aspect of like Snapchat comes in. Of course, Snapchat wants people to be
know what
using.
they're doing.
Yeah, of course they want people to be using their app every single day. That's why they put streaks in there. But the whole point of Snapchat was to send cool videos that could just disappear like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like whether it's like
dick pics.
I had to say that, but whether it's like for that sexting, yes, or like cute videos of dogs, or like like, oh, I'm with friends, or like, oh, this is the place that you need to meet at, where you don't really want to see it in like your messages box. It's like, that's what Snapchat's for, and that's like what it was built to do amongst people. Yeah. Whereas now people are just using it as a form of communication. I don't value it as communication.
No, it's not
communication at all.
Yeah. I mean, it is communication. Technically, it is communication. Does it add value to your life? If you don't think it does, then that's, you know, like, I mean, I have friends that I only talk to on Snapchat, but they're not people I see all the time, and they're not people that I feel very, like, deeply emotionally connected to. I think that the connection is very surface level when it's only over Snapchat, you know, like, it's not the kind of thing where it's like, I'm going to meet up with them and we're going to talk about our lives and feel like we know each other really, really well. It's like, that's absolutely not what it is at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's an interesting kind of thought process, because I remember the hot days of caring about my streaks.
Literally, I think everyone does. And everyone listening would be like, oh yeah, fuck, I remember doing streaks. It's just like, you're just sucked into this like,
it's
void.
Kind of absolutely.
It's
like something that you have to do every single day.
Exactly. It's like a waste of time. You could definitely be doing more productive things.
You could be playing Wordle.
You could be listening to Life with Lamb.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
But
yes.
You could be...
full confession, I haven't done yet.
That's okay, I guess.
And I probably won't be starting with this episode.
Fair enough. Snapchat's just an interesting thing. I find.
I think there's easier ways to connect with people, and I certainly think that those ways are in person. But I guess obviously then when you go back to, well, we spent 2 years inside and we couldn't connect with other people in person, it's like, social media did play a massive part in making us feel like we could connect to other people, even if that is Zoom. Zoom is still a form of social media, but it's like, I don't know, it's just one of those one of those interesting things where it's like, what kind of connections do you value? And everyone's going to be different. Again, someone might really value their Snapchat streaks.
Yeah, exactly.
They're probably 12.
300.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just find like, and this isn't like having a go at anyone. Like, I think it's just the fact that this app is existing, like for this reason, and like there's streaks and all that stuff. It's like friendships become very surface level when you only communicate via Snapchat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too.
And like you're voiding yourself of.
Well, you don't have to ask people hard-hitting questions if you're just sending them a stupid picture of your double chin.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You don't go, oh, so how's your mental health today, when they've just sent you a picture of
yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like, it's just, it doesn't really promote good conversations. That if someone needs a good conversation, you know, they're not going to get it from Snapchat. But it does other things, and that's totally fine. I guess Snapchat won't sponsor the podcast.
Yeah, sorry, Snapchat.
That's all right. There's better things out there.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Sorry. No, like, not to slander Snapchat, I think it's very applicable to, like, social media and everything.
Absolutely.
And everyone's attention span is getting very, very small.
Yeah, thank you, TikTok. Yeah.
Thank you, TikTok. Thank you, Reels. So, of course, it's easy. You grab your phone, send a photo. Like, why would I type it?
Oh, yeah, no, exactly.
Like,
I do resort to the, like, finish work, need to have a rant, film myself vlog style, because it's like, do I feel like texting out a 500-word story about a customer? Not really.
No.
You know, like those sorts of things. But it's definitely not. That's also like, it's not promoting like a really deep, meaningful conversation. It's like me telling a funny story or me having a rant or whatever. It's like, it's not. I don't know. It's not what it. Yeah. I'm getting tired. We've done this twice.
Yeah, I know.
I'm kidding.
What were we talking about? Uni.
I can't remember. Making connections with people.
Yeah, so you hated uni at the start, right?
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
You didn't love it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever hated anything. I don't know. It's one of those things where it was like, I look back on it and I'm proud that I did it, and I'm proud that I have my degrees and my graduation pictures, I guess. I don't know. But I don't really know. I still kind of, my instant reaction to people saying like, how was your undergrad, was it was a waste of my time. I don't think it was. I think it was like a massive growing time for me. Like, I learned a lot about myself, but I know that I didn't learn a lot about myself because of uni. I learned a lot about myself because of what I was doing while I was at uni. So working for the swim school and stuff. But it's something that I'm proud of. And if I didn't go to uni, I never would have seen the job advertised on the Career Gateway, and I never would have got the job at the swim school. And I think it's all very much like that. I don't know, like those sorts of things. Yeah, I don't know.
I was talking to Chris in the previous episode, which you have not listened to.
Well, maybe I'll be going home to listen to it tonight. Sorry, Chris.
Awesome. No, so we were chatting about like, you shouldn't regret the things that you do leading up to like who you are today, because they're the things that have made you who you are today.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So,
and that's the thing, like, I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I didn't, and I don't look back on it as a super negative view. I'm like, I think it wasn't the time for me to go to uni, but I did it anyway. I think that I'm the kind of person that, even though I was really smart at school and the expectation was that I was going to go to uni, I probably would have benefited from working full-time for a couple years and realising that actually I want to be a teacher. Because I genuinely believe I would have come to that realisation at some point in my life. But yeah, I don't regret it. I think it's something that maybe more conversations should be had around the timing of it. Like, you're just so young when you go to uni, and it was a really overwhelming experience and incredibly stressful, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to do well at something that I didn't know how to do. Like, you don't know how to write an essay till you go to uni, you know, like obviously you write essays in school, it's very different.
An academic essay is extremely
very different. Yeah, and I think that there is absolutely nothing wrong with someone turning around and saying it's not the right time for me to go to uni, or I don't want to go to uni. It doesn't mean that they're not a clever person, they're not going to get far in life, and they're not going to be educated. They're still educated, and I think we can educate ourselves in other ways constantly. Like, my dad didn't finish school. He was 15 when he left school, and he did a hairdressing apprenticeship, and he's the smartest person I know. Like, he's so smart, and he finds ways to make himself learn every single day, and he finds opportunities for growth every single day. And it's like, he never went to uni, he never even finished high school, but he's still a smart person, and he's still growing and learning, and he still looks for those opportunities to learn. So it's like, you don't have to go to uni to do that.
I think it's that stereotype where it's like, oh, if you go to uni, like, you become a lawyer, doctor, dentist, I guess business is like coming into the scene now. Like you're an accountant, like you're working 9 to 5. It's safe, it's secure. That's why people gravitate towards it, and that's why there's that stereotype. But I think in a way you're more educated if you're like, wait, this isn't for me. No, let me just take a few steps back, take a few years to like find myself. Yeah. Then let's like have a look and explore options.
And you're also like, it's like, how much can you learn from life experience and how much can you learn at uni? Like, I think that's the other thing. And it's like, it doesn't matter what's like seen as a good job or how much you get paid, or, you know, it's like, does it make you happy? Are you learning? You know, like, I think having life experiences can sometimes be way more beneficial than
I think it trumps like education sometimes, because it's like you need to have a high like and also, EQ and SQ, like emotional intelligence and also social intelligence as well to like get by. Like you can be the smartest person in the world but
and be really dumb socially. Yeah, absolutely. But I think also like we're speaking from an incredibly privileged position of being able to access education. I'm very conscious of that. But I think that like we're...
Oh my God, I'm cramping. Oh. Okay, never mind. We're good.
He's going to touch feet with me again.
Oh, it hurts. Okay, no, continue. Sorry.
Those weight gains. Yeah, like I think we're having a conversation from a position of huge privilege of we can access education and we're so lucky that we can. But because we live in that world, just because we can access it doesn't mean it's right for everyone. No.
That's a huge point. Thank you for bringing that up as well. Because I was
thinking about those poor girls in Afghanistan that weren't allowed to go to school. You know, like you think about those things. It's like I'm very conscious of my position of being able to have this conversation. And I'm not going to say that it's a bad thing to be educated. I'm so grateful for my education and I'm glad I have it. But it's also like the timing of my education is kind of what I question. And I think that's an okay thing to do.
That's awesome. I love that insight. And I think, even myself, that was just like a whack in the head. Like, I should be more grateful of my education and I shouldn't be like...
I don't think that it's that you're not grateful. I think it's like we can question that. And we should be questioning the world around us all the time. But it's like, I'm not questioning my like privilege of being educated. I'm so grateful for it, but I am questioning, okay, the timing of it wasn't right for me, can't go back and change that, going to accept it. But like it's okay for everyone to question the timing of it. Like I think it's incredibly stressful to maybe be 24 and not have a uni degree but all your friends do, and you can be like, shit, does that make me a lesser person? Absolutely not.
No. I that's again another huge point because I think we're just born and bred, do primary school, high school, uni.
Yes.
That's it. That's what it's become now. It's like you get your degree.
That's our life.
Yeah. It's it's very It's huge. I don't know. It's just like it's so normalized now.
Yes.
And it's like almost frowned upon when you don't go to uni or when you do like
why? Because people have and I think that's the thing. It's like how much pressure are we putting on looking at people's educations as a means of valuing them as a person? It's like some people have degrees and they're assholes and they don't do anything good with them. And it's like you want to be a good person. You want to treat other people well. And we should be looking to that rather than... Okay, but like, do they have a law degree?
Yeah, exactly. And it links back to your family conversations too.
Yes.
Like the ones that we were having like way back when.
Oh my God.
At the start of the podcast.
Before we started recording.
Yeah, exactly.
When the recording didn't work. Yeah.
And I think it links back to, this is like a really good point to take away if you're still listening. Thank you very much.
They stopped after like minute 2.
Yeah. Please don't. You should question things if they're making you not happy.
Yes. Yeah.
Not, am I accomplishing it?
No.
For the sake of accomplishing it.
Yeah.
I could have worded that a lot better, but...
No, I feel like you did it well. Very profound.
Thank you.
Put it in quotation marks, stick it on a magnet. Yeah, I think like... I think we should be questioning like the norms that we're kind of like growing up in and learning in, but also like... But from a perspective of appreciating our position to be able to question it, because I think like, absolutely there are people who don't get a choice in questioning the life they're living. They just have to live it. But it's like, because we can, we should try and make it better, I guess, for other people around us, you know? Yeah. So, yeah.
Look at you, you're hitting all the good points.
I'll be back next week, guys, with more, with more insights.
No, that's awesome. With that, we might just... cut it there.
End on a high note.
No, that's awesome. Do you have any parting words?
Parting words. No, I do not. I don't think.
Don't. I think this episode has been huge.
I hope we get some sponsors out of it. We've name dropped a few.
Snapchat, we love you.
Yeah, sorry, Snapchat.
But maybe get rid of Strix.
Yes, they should just get rid of it. I don't understand. Are you going to name the episode, what is the point of Snapchat Strix?
No. It's okay. Thank you, Mia.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for hopping on.
I feel privileged to be in your presence of your podcast room.
No, thank you very much for hopping in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
I have, yes.
Yeah. And to the listeners, please follow at Life with Lamb podcast.
Yes, I follow it even though I don't listen to the podcast. But I will start. I'm committed. I'm starting from season 4. Apparently, that's when it gets good.
Yes, yeah. I think you should start from season 4 if you start listening.
Not the views. The listens are going to go through the roof.
It's free to follow. And if you can, please rate the show on Spotify and also Apple Podcasts. Please give it a good review.
You should give it 5 stars after listening to this episode.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much again, Mia.
Thank you for having me.
Hope to see you soon.
Yes. Oh my God, why not?
Bye-bye.
Bye.